Have you ever felt like there was something in your life that you were never meant to see? A truth too heavy, too dark, too real to face? A door that was never supposed to open? Because that's where this story begins. Not with light, not with hope, but with a warning, a whisper I ignored, a decision I made that shattered everything. They told me, don't open that door. Whatever you do, don't look behind it. Walk away. Forget it. Leave it closed. And for a while I listened. I buried the questions. I silenced the instinct. I convinced myself that some truths were better left in the dark. But silence has a weight, and secrets have a voice. And over time, what we bury begins to rot from the inside. That door became more than a door. It became a symbol of everything I had left unsaid, everything I had lost, everything I had refused to confront. So I opened it, and what I saw on the other side didn't just hurt, it transformed me. It didn't just change what I believed, it rewrote who I was. And the strangest part? I think it was always meant to. If you're watching this, maybe you're standing in front of your own door. Maybe there's something in your life, some memory, some person, some moment, that you've locked away, telling yourself it doesn't matter anymore. Maybe you've told yourself, I'm fine, I've moved on. But somewhere deep inside, you know the truth has been waiting for you. This story isn't just mine. It's ours. Because we all have a door. We all have a truth that scares us. And we all reach a point where not opening it becomes more painful than whatever might be hiding behind it. On this channel, we open the doors. We speak what was never spoken. We read the letters that were never delivered. And we walk through the moments that broke us, so we can rebuild something honest, something stronger. But I have to be honest with you. What I found behind that door wasn't what I expected. It wasn't just a memory. It wasn't just a feeling. It was a part of me I thought I had lost forever. And maybe, just maybe, the reason you're here now is because you've lost a part of yourself too. They say some doors should never be opened. But what they don't tell you is this. Sometimes, behind that door is the exact truth you need to finally be free. Before we continue, if any part of this already resonates with you, take a second to like this video. Not for me, but so YouTube knows stories like this matter. And if you're ready to keep going, if you're ready to see what was never meant to be seen, comment the word open below, because that one word can be the beginning of everything. And if you haven't already, subscribe, not just because there's more to this story, but because there's more to you. You're not here by accident. You're here because you're ready. And what happened next, after I stepped through that door, is something you need to see for yourself. I remember the exact way the hallway smelled that day. The dust, the old wood, that faint scent of something long forgotten, like memories sealed in a place time never visited. It was a quiet house, too quiet for a home that used to be full of voices. I stood there still, right in front of that door I had always been told never to open. The words came back like a whisper wrapped in fear. Don't open that door, ever. It wasn't just a warning, it was a command, a rule I had never broken. And yet, there I was, heart pounding, fingers twitching, standing at the edge of something I couldn't name. You've heard it before, haven't you? That internal voice, or maybe someone you trusted, telling you to leave it alone, not to look, not to ask, not to remember. That door I was warned about wasn't just made of wood. It was made of every memory I'd tried to bury. Every time I told myself, I'm fine, when I wasn't. Every question that got swallowed before it reached the surface. And maybe that's why I couldn't turn away anymore. Maybe that's why my hand started to move toward the handle. There's something about being told you can't do something that makes you want to do it even more, especially when no one explains why. It's just the old storage room, they said when I was younger. There's nothing there for you. But the way they said it, the way their voices dropped, the way their eyes looked anywhere but at the door, it told me otherwise. It told me there was a hidden secret behind the door, a truth too heavy for a child to hold, a truth they hoped I'd never be strong enough to seek. The door itself looked normal, slightly cracked paint, brass handle, a faint creak in the hinges from years of stillness. But I swear to you, standing in front of it felt like standing before a portal to another world, a world where answers waited like ghosts, a world I wasn't sure I was ready to enter. But I knew this. Turning away would haunt me forever. They say some stories are better left untold, that some rooms are better left locked. But what if what's behind that door is the very thing you've been needing to understand who you are? What if inside that forbidden room lies the key to the pain that's been whispering your name in silence? What if that secret, buried, hidden, sealed, is the only thing standing between you and the healing you've never allowed yourself to feel. I took a breath, a deep one, the kind you take when you know the next second might change everything. And just as my hand brushed against the handle, I heard it, a sound, faint, impossible, like a shuffle, a whisper, a voice I hadn't heard in years. It stopped me cold. Now let me pause here, because before I tell you what happened when I opened that door, you need to understand something. That moment, the one between reaching and revealing, is the most fragile place a person can stand. It's the edge between who you were and who you're about to become. And that's exactly where I was. You know that feeling, don't you? That gut-deep instinct that says, this could ruin you, or set you free. That hesitation mixed with a pull that's too strong to ignore. I know you've felt it too. Maybe not in front of a literal door. Maybe it was a phone call you never made, a journal you never read again, a name you erased from every message thread. But deep down, there's a part of you that's always wondered, what if I had looked? And as I stood there, with the handle just beneath my fingertips, I realized that I couldn't go back. Whatever was on the other side of that door had already started reaching for me. And even though I didn't know it yet, what I was about to find would tear open everything I thought was true. My hand gripped the doorknob like it was alive, like it was breathing beneath my palm. The metal was cold, almost unnaturally so, sending a chill through my arm that reached my chest before I even turned it. The hallway behind me was silent, as if the house itself was holding its breath. And then, just like that, I twisted the knob. There was a click, a low groan from the hinges, and that was it. The door, the one I was warned to never open, creaked forward, and with it, something inside me cracked wide open. The room behind that door wasn't what I expected. There were no monsters, no loud noises, no sudden jump scares, just stillness. But it was a different kind of stillness. Heavy, holy, hollow. It felt like the air had been sealed in there for decades, like every molecule had been waiting for someone, anyone, to finally let it out. The first thing I noticed was the smell. Old books, dust, and something faintly sweet, like dried flowers, but older, more bitter. A scent that made no sense but felt painfully familiar. There was a single light bulb, swinging slightly from the ceiling, casting shadows across the walls that seemed to move just a second too late. The room was small, maybe 10 feet wide, but it felt infinite. On the far wall, I saw it, a wooden table with a box. Just one box, covered in a faded cloth, its corners soft with time. I couldn't explain it, but my legs started moving before I even told them to. Every step I took made the floor creak beneath me, each sound echoing like I was walking through a cathedral built for ghosts. I reached the table, pulled the cloth away, and opened the box. What I found inside wasn't shocking in the traditional sense. There were no bones, no blood, no horror movie props. What I found was worse. Letters, dozens of them, all in my father's handwriting, some addressed to my mother, some to me, all unopened. Each envelope sealed with dates that told a different story than the one I had grown up hearing. A story that had been buried, rewritten, hidden. What I found behind that door shattered the version of reality I had clung to for years. My father hadn't abandoned us the way I was told. He had tried. He had written. He had reached out, again and again, and his voice was never passed along. And all this time, I believed he didn't care, that he disappeared because we weren't enough. But the truth was that someone else had made that choice for me, someone I trusted, someone who stood between me and my father's love, and chose silence. My knees buckled. I dropped the letters on the floor, and they scattered like fallen feathers, like pieces of a broken truth. And I cried, not the kind of cry that comes with sadness, but the kind that erupts from years of being lied to, of being silenced, of being robbed of a version of life that could have been filled with something more. Even with my belief in God, even with every ounce of faith I had held on to, this moment tested it. How could this be the plan? How could something so cruel, so senseless, be part of a greater good? But then I realized, maybe the test wasn't the discovery. Maybe the test was what I would do with it now, with the truth, with the pain, with the sudden flood of light that poured through a door I was never supposed to open. And I need you to know something. That door, your door, might not look the same, but it's there. Maybe it's a memory you avoid. Maybe it's a letter you never sent. Maybe it's a version of yourself you buried a long time ago. But if this story is stirring something in you, if your chest feels tight and your hands cold, then that door is calling. And the truth, as painful as it may be, is always better than the silence that pretends it never existed. If you've felt something so far, if even one part of this has sent a chill down your spine, comment the words, "I opened it," below. Because this isn't just my story, it's yours too. And we're only getting started. I sat on that floor for what felt like hours, my back against the cold wall, surrounded by letters that had never been read, stories that had never been told. My fingers trembled as I picked them up one by one, opening each envelope as if I were holding sacred truths, remnants of a love I had been convinced didn't exist. Every word cut deeper than the last. "I miss you. I never stopped loving you. Please tell him I think of him every day." Those weren't just sentences. They were breaths from a father I believed had forgotten me. But he hadn't. He had been reaching out, and someone chose to silence him. The impact of that realization didn't just hit my heart. It rewired my entire identity. Everything I thought I knew about my past shattered like glass. For years, I built my life around the belief that I had been abandoned, that something in me wasn't enough, that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't worth staying for. But in the span of minutes, those beliefs disintegrated. I hadn't been abandoned. I had been protected from the truth, or so they said. But protection that costs you the truth is just another form of betrayal. And what do you do when the foundation of your story collapses? Who do you become when the narrative you've clung to for survival turns out to be a lie? That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind replayed every memory, every family gathering, every silence I once thought was normal. Suddenly, the gaps made sense. The strange looks, the hesitations, the moments when I asked questions and got half answers or uncomfortable glances. My life hadn't been whole. It had been edited, curated, manipulated into a version that kept me safe from a truth I deserved to know. And as much as I wanted to be angry, to scream, to confront the ones who kept this from me, what I felt most was grief, not just for the years lost, but for the man I had become because of that silence. You see, when you grow up believing you were unwanted, you live your life trying to earn love that was always there. And when you discover that the love was real, but hidden from you, it doesn't just heal you, it breaks you in a different way. A beautiful, necessary breaking, like a shell cracking so something new can finally breathe. It was in those days of unraveling that I turned to God more deeply than I ever had before. Not with polished prayers or perfect words, but with raw questions. Why didn't you stop this? Why did you let me carry so much pain for something that wasn't even true? And then, in the quiet, I felt it. Not answers, not justifications, but presence. A deep, steady presence that wrapped around me like light in the dark. It didn't fix everything, but it reminded me I wasn't alone in it. And slowly, something in me began to shift. I wasn't just the boy who was lied to. I wasn't just the son of a man who wrote letters. I was someone being rebuilt, not around a lie, but around a deeper truth, that I was always loved, that pain doesn't erase value, that even the most broken stories can be rewritten, not erased, but redeemed. That's when I knew I had a choice. I could let this truth consume me, or I could let it set me free. And I chose freedom, not the kind that pretends nothing happened, but the kind that says, yes, it hurt, yes, it broke me, but it also opened something sacred, a door to forgiveness, to understanding, to the version of myself that had been waiting behind all the walls I built to survive. And maybe that's why you're still watching, because a part of you knows there's a door inside you too, and behind it, something is waiting to be set free, something real, something sacred, something that could change everything you believe about yourself. I didn't walk out of that room the same person who walked in. The door I opened didn't just lead me into a hidden space in my childhood home. It led me straight into the hidden spaces of my soul. That moment didn't end when I closed the door behind me. In truth, that moment became the beginning of everything else. I left behind the version of me that was built on silence, shame, and unanswered questions. And in his place, something new began to rise. A version of myself I had never met before. One no longer chained to the past. One who could finally breathe with clarity, purpose, and grace. I've come to realize that what I found behind that door wasn't just pain. It was truth. And the truth, even when it shatters, also sets you free. It calls you back to the center of who you really are, beneath the fear, the guilt, the defenses. What broke me that day wasn't the content of the letters. It was the realization that I had spent most of my life surviving a story that was never mine to carry. And in that breaking, I found something holy, a crack wide enough for the light to get in. That's what transformation really is. It's not loud. It's not perfect. It's not wrapped in inspiration quotes and happy endings. It's quiet, painful, beautiful. It happens when you stand still long enough inside your own darkness and let God speak. I didn't hear a booming voice from the sky. I didn't see angels or miracles in that moment. What I felt was something deeper, a gentle, steady truth that whispered, "You were never forgotten. You were never alone." And none of this was wasted. I began to pray not like I used to, out of fear or routine, but from a place of honest surrender. I asked for guidance, for peace, for the courage to forgive, not just those who kept the truth from me, but also myself, for the anger I had carried. And slowly, a new kind of faith began to grow, not based on rules or perfection, but on relationship, on love, on truth that could survive the hardest questions. I'm not the same person anymore. I don't see the world through the lens of abandonment or betrayal. I see it through the eyes of someone who has touched their own brokenness and survived it. Someone who has stood in the ruins of what was and chosen to rebuild. I've learned that pain can be a passageway, that faith can begin where certainty ends, that God doesn't abandon us in the rooms we were told never to enter. He meets us there. Now my purpose is clear. I share these stories not just to heal myself, but to create a space for others to face their own doors. I know what it's like to live with secrets, to believe you're alone, to carry a pain so old you forget where it started. And I also know what it's like to open that pain and find a purpose inside it, to rediscover your life after the truth, to become something you never thought you could be, whole. So maybe that's why you've come this far in the video, because something inside you is ready to stop running, ready to stop pretending, ready to open the door in your own story and face what's been waiting for you, not to break you, but to awaken you. You are not here by accident. This message was for you, and now I want to ask you something. If this story moved you, if you felt something shift inside, if a memory or a name or a feeling came rushing back, don't let it fade. Write it down, speak it out loud, or comment below. Let's not pretend anymore. If you made it to this part of the video, I want you to comment, "Ready to open." Let that be your declaration. And don't keep this moment to yourself. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. You never know which door they're standing in front of. Subscribe now, because the journey doesn't end here. In the next video, we reveal, from ordinary to unbelievable. I woke up to find this was my reality. Don't miss it. What comes next will change everything. Thank you for watching all the way through. If this story moved something inside you, hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and leave your like right now. It helps me keep bringing you the kind of truths no one else dares to tell. Drop a comment below saying, "I opened it," and tell me, what's something you were never supposed to see? Your story might be part of the next one. And don't go just yet. Watch the next video. From ordinary to unbelievable, I woke up to find this was my reality. Because together, we're going even deeper. I'll see you there.